Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the life of Odysseus, arguably the absolute most fascinating and, well, complicated figure in all of ancient mythology. You know, when we think of legendary Greek heroes, we usually picture these giant men with massive swords seeking glorious deaths on the battlefield. But Odysseus? He was entirely different, and his story is a literal masterclass in survival.
So here's the ultimate question we have to ask. How did one single guy manage to outsmart gods, monsters, and entire armies? Instead of just relying on brute strength like all his peers, our hero used his mind to survive. But who exactly was the mastermind behind the infamous Trojan Horse? And why does his story still captivate us thousands of years later?
Part 1. The Man of Many Turns. Okay, let's dive into this by first understanding what made the King of Ithaca so incredibly unique among legendary warriors. To really get him, we need to look at how the epic poet Homer defined him, using two very specific ancient Greek terms. First, there's polytropos, which literally translates to a man of many turns or a complicated man. And second, metis, meaning cunning intelligence. Instantly, this sets up a narrative about brain over brawn. While everyone else fought with sheer muscle, Odysseus fought with his intellect, his adaptability, and just an unmatched ability to strategize on the fly. And you know, even his physical description was totally different from the other heroes. Picture typical Greek champions like Agamemnon and Menelaus, your classic towering, broad-shouldered warriors. Then you have Odysseus. King Priam of Troy actually noted that Odysseus was a full head shorter, but incredibly broad-chested and imposing. In fact, he likened him to a deep-fleeced ram making his way through a great flock of sheep. He really stood out visually as this grounded, brilliant mind surrounded by towering brawn. Part 2. The Reluctant Strategist. Let's move on to his role in the Trojan War, an epic conflict which, believe it or not, he famously tried his absolute best to avoid.
To dodge the military draft, because an oracle had warned him that if he went to Troy, he'd face a massively delayed return home, Odysseus actually faked being completely out of his mind. His plan was wonderfully absurd. Step 1. He hooks a donkey and an ox to a plow together. Since they have completely different stride lengths, the plow just stumbles and jerks around uselessly. Step 2. He literally starts sowing his own field with salt, completely ruining the soil. It was a brilliant act, really, until a Greek envoy exposed the trick by tossing Odysseus' infant son Telemachus right in front of the plow. Odysseus instantly veered the blades away, proving he was perfectly sane and packing his bags for Troy. But man, once he actually got to Troy, he was indispensable. His cunning played out over a grueling decade. First, he unmasks a disguised Achilles who was hiding among women in Skyros simply by sounding a battle horn and watching who grabbed a weapon. Later, he sneaks into the heavily fortified city to steal the sacred Palladium. And of course, he devises the ultimate weapon of deception, the Trojan Horse. Without his mind, the Greeks simply could not have breached those walls. No way. During the war, he really acted as the perfect antithesis to the Greeks' greatest fighter. Think about Achilles, consumed by anger and self-destruction. Then look at Odysseus. He was the man of the mean, the ultimate voice of reason. When morale was completely crumbling and troops wanted to abandon the war effort, it was Odysseus who used his diplomacy, his self-restraint, and his eloquent speech to hold the whole Greek camp together. Part 3. The Long Journey Home. Now, what's really fascinating about this next phase is how his incredible intellect both saves him and curses him during his sprawling, infamous journey back to Ithaca. Take the Cyclops, for example. When trapped in a cave by this man-eating giant, Polyphemus, Odysseus comes up with an absolute stroke of linguistic genius. He tells the monster his name is Autis, which translates to nobody. So after Odysseus and his men blind the sleeping giant with a fiery stake, Polyphemus screams out to his fellow monsters for help, yelling, "Nobody has blinded me." Naturally, the others think he's lost his mind and they just walk away, allowing Odysseus to execute a daring escape. But here is where it all goes horribly wrong. As they sail away to safety, Odysseus' pride just completely gets the better of him. He rashly yells out his true name to the blinded Cyclops, and that one moment of ego allows Polyphemus to pray directly to his father, the sea god Poseidon, for revenge. It's a pretty powerful reminder for us even today, right? Even the smartest, most capable people have fatal flaws, and an unchecked ego can completely undo the most brilliant of plans. That single mistake unleashes a rapid-fire gauntlet of absolute horrors. Just imagine facing this sequence of nightmares. He's forced to outwit the lethargic Lotus Eaters, outrun cannibalistic Laestrygonians, and resist Circe, the witch, who turns his men into swine. He has to navigate the deadly song of the Sirens and make an impossible choice between rowing past Scylla, a six-headed monster, or Charybdis, a massive ship-swallowing whirlpool. Talk about a true test of endurance just to keep your remaining crew alive. So, because of all these endless encounters, Poseidon's curse, and a final disastrous shipwreck caused by his crew eating the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios, it takes him a grueling decade, 10 whole years, just to cross the Mediterranean Sea and reach the shores of Ithaca. But arriving home isn't the end of the story. His palace is totally overrun by greedy suitors trying to marry his wife Penelope. To reclaim his throne, he disguises himself as an old beggar, enters a contest, and effortlessly strings his rigid bow, a feat literally no other man could manage. But the real emotional climax here is the secret of the olive tree bed. Penelope cleverly tests him by ordering their bed moved. Odysseus explodes, saying that's impossible because he carved one of the bedposts himself from a living olive tree, rooted right into the ground. In that exact moment, she knows it's truly him. Part 4, Death and Alternate Endings. Now, you might think this all wraps up with a happily ever after, king back on his throne, but ancient mythology actually offers some pretty bizarre alternate endings to his life. In this lost epic poem called the Telegony, he meets a truly unexpected, tragic end. He's accidentally killed in battle by Telegonus, which is his own illegitimate son with the witch Circe. And the weapon? A spear tipped with a poisonous stingray spine. Just a completely wild, un-Homeric end to a legendary life. Part 5, an endearing cultural legacy. Let's move to our final section and see how this incredible life built a deeply polarizing legacy across different ancient civilizations. It's a super fascinating cultural contrast. The Greeks, championed by Homer, absolutely worshipped his survival skills. They saw him as a massive culture hero, cunning, wise, the ultimate survivor, and voice of reason. But look at the Roman view. Writers like Virgil, who prized rigid duty, piety, and honor above everything else, saw Odysseus as this cruel, malicious, deceitful trickster. They actually called him Dorus Lixus, cruel Ulysses. To them, his constant scheming and trickery completely lacked honor. Yet, despite all that Roman vilification, his status as a revered figure is undeniable. Get this, just recently, in 2025, an incredible archaeological discovery was made at Agios Athanasios in Ithaca. Researchers found Hellenistic inscriptions, a bronze bust, and over 100 coins that confirmed he was actually worshipped as a divine figure by local cults. They literally found a sanctuary dedicated to him, proving that to the locals, he was much more than just a character in a story, he was a god-like figure. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider this quote from Alfred Lord Tennyson's famous poem Ulysses. He envisions an aging Odysseus who just can't stand sitting idle in Ithaca, yearning for one last adventure, to sail beyond the sunset. It really leaves us to ponder, is human curiosity ultimately just this restless, unending journey? Are we all, kind of like Odysseus, destined to always seek out the next horizon, no matter the cost?